everybody, my name is Quinn and welcome to my channel. I hope that you all are having a great day. So today I thought I would do the New York Times by the book tag. I've seen a lot of people do this. I wasn't tagged, but I thought it looked pretty fun. So without further ado, these are all the questions. The first question is, what book is on your bedside table right now? And that to be my current read, which is Bone Gap by Laura Ruby. So far I'm really enjoying it. I'm like halfway through. I didn't know this was magical realism. It's my first time reading a book that includes magical realism, so that's really interesting. It's about a character named Finn. He witnesses his brother's girlfriend, Rosa, get kidnapped, but no one really believes him, so he has to kind of deal with that. And it's just really interesting. It's something not like anything I've read before, so that is the book I'm currently reading. Question number 2 is, what was the last truly great book that you read? And that would have to be A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I'm not going to talk too much about this book because I did a whole review on it, and I talked about it in my wrap-up, and I'll link those down below. But I really love this book. It had amazing character development, a great world, and great romance, you know? All the things you would want out of a fantasy book. And I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It was a good time. Question number 3 is, if you could meet any author, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you ask them? I would probably want to meet Sarah J. Maas just because I've seen so many interviews that other booktubers have done with her, and she just seems really funny and just a really great person. I feel like that's the kind of author I would want to meet. I would probably want to ask her how she plans on wrapping the Court of Thorns and Roses series up in one book, just because I feel like there's so much more that we have to do. Unless she writes like a 1,000-page book, I don't know how it's going to happen in one book. I really don't. I think this might end up being a 4-book series. Question number 4 is, what books would we be surprised to see on your shelf? And I feel like I have 2 that are kind of surprising. I have an Amish cookbook because my boyfriend went to Pennsylvania in Amish country last year and he brought this back for me. I haven't actually made anything out of it, but I should soon because some of these actually look pretty good. So yes, Amish cookbook, and I have a Rapunzel children's storybook. I was actually at a book sale last year, and this was my favorite book growing up. It was the book that I always took out of the library. I must have taken this book out like more than 20 times. So when I saw it at the book sale, I just felt so nostalgic, and I had to buy it. It just has beautiful illustrations, and it just, brings back the childhood feels. Question number 5 is, how do you organize your personal library? I wouldn't say that I have a strict system, but books that I tend to like more are higher up on my shelves, and books that, I still enjoy, but maybe less, I include lower down on my shelves. Books tend to be grouped by series and by author, so like Cassandra Clare, for instance, the Mortal Instruments series is read by the Infernal Devices series, and that's by the Dark Artifices and all of that. And it's sometimes grouped by genre, so like all my contemporaries tend to be on one shelf, and all my fantasies tend to be on one shelf, but I wouldn't say that like I organize it by author, or I don't really have like a strict like this has to be there, this has to be there sort of organization system. It's just whatever I feel like looks the best and makes the most sense to me. Question number 6 is, what book have you always meant to read but just haven't gotten around to yet? And also, is there any books that you've been embarrassed not to have read? I would say the book that I haven't gotten around to reading is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I love Grapes of Wrath, and I've had this book for over a year. I think since the end of my senior year of high school, but I just haven't had time to pick it up. I think it's a little intimidating, it's pretty long, but my professor last semester, my writing professor, shout out Lindsay if you're watching this, she was like, you have to read East of Eden, it's his best book, blah blah blah. So I'm definitely planning on reading it this summer and tackling, the long book, but I'm definitely excited to read East of Eden this summer. As far as a book that I would be embarrassed to not have read, I don't really have one. I used to be really embarrassed that I haven't read the Harry Potter series, but now that I'm reading it, I kind of feel very accomplished, and there isn't a book that I'm embarrassed not to have read, I guess. The next question is, disappointing and overhyped. What book did you feel like you were just supposed to like but didn't? And also, what book did you just not finish? For the first part of that question, what book I think was overhyped, I would have to say Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. It's not that I didn't like this book, but everyone was just raving about it and saying it was so amazing, and I kind of felt that it was slow, and I have a review for that, which I will also link down below, but I just wasn't the biggest fan of the book. I just didn't feel like it lived up to all the hype. For the book that I did not finish, I think the last book that I did not finish, because I try not to do enough books, was The Kill Order by James Dashner, which is the prequel to the Maze Runner series, and I just thought it was really boring compared to the Maze Runner series, and I think I just ended up getting halfway through it and not finishing it. Question number 8 is, what books are you drawn to and what books do you stray away from? I would say I'm definitely drawn to fantasy and contemporary books, and I tend to stay away away from nonfiction, sci-fi, and dystopian. I used to be really into dystopian, but then I just thought it got way too repetitive and all the books were kind of the same. So I would definitely say those are my genre fields for that question. Question number 9 is, what book would you want the president to read? And that would have to be What We Saw by Aaron Hartzler. Given everything that's been happening in the news lately, I think that the president should really read a book about rape culture. And question number 10, the last question, is what book do you plan to read next? And it's probably going to be Amy and Ryder's Epic Detour. I kind of want to get a ruling on Morgan Matson because I really liked one of her books and I was kind of like, I liked the other book but just not, I wasn't amazed by it, so I think this will decide that factor. So that was the New York Times by the book tag. I think it's a really fun tag, and I tag all of you to do it. I don't think you should have to be tagged to do a book tag. That's just silly. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye, guys. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about all the books that I read in the month of May.